Hello, friends, hold on tight, because this is not your average science update. It's a geopolitical earthquake. While the world's attention is scattered elsewhere, Chinese scientists have quietly grown the world's largest crystal of barium selenogallate BGSe, a material with chilling military potential. Its diameter, a record-breaking 60 millimeters. But the real bombshell is what this crystal can do. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We bring you the most urgent global updates, exclusive conflict insights, and accurate forecasts you won't find elsewhere. Developed by experts at the Hefei Institutes of Physical Science under the Chinese Academy of Sciences, BGSe isn't just a lab curiosity. It's a potential cornerstone for ground-based laser weapons designed to destroy satellites in orbit. That's right, we're talking about lasers capable of reaching the heavens from Earth. Now, here's where it gets wild. One of BGSe's standout features is its remarkable ability to convert shortwave infrared light into powerful mid- and long-wave infrared beams, an essential leap for high-energy laser systems. But even more astonishing, this crystal can withstand up to 550 megawatts per square centimeter. That's nearly 10 times the capacity of comparable materials currently used in Western military tech. Even a prototype as small as 10 by 10 by 50 millimeters has already outperformed conventional optical components. This scientific leap forward comes as China ramps up its directed energy weapons programs, and that's no coincidence. According to a study led by Professor Wu Haixin published in the Journal of Synthetic Crystals, this acceleration is directly tied to Beijing's growing concerns over the role of Starlink satellites in the Ukraine conflict and the increasing reach of US influence in space. Let's not sugarcoat it. The White House is deeply alarmed. National security briefings are buzzing, and Donald Trump, never one to stay silent, has reportedly begun preparing a strategic response. What exactly that means is still under wraps, but insiders suggest dormant defense projects may be revived with unprecedented urgency. But wait, there's another twist. BGSe isn't just a weapon of war. Scientists say this wonder crystal has peaceful potential too, especially in medical imaging and infrared surveillance systems. Still, in today's geopolitical climate, the military applications are taking center stage. And for good reason. For decades, one of the biggest obstacles in laser weapon development was thermal instability. Remember the miracle laser test in 1997? The US military's pride and joy melted parts of itself while attempting to target a satellite. That dramatic failure exposed just how far laser technology still had to go. But China's BGSe may have just changed the game. The crystal was first synthesized in 2010, and Western labs have tried and failed to replicate it at scale. Why? Because manufacturing BGSe is a scientific nightmare. It requires a sealed vacuum, a precisely controlled temperature of 1020 degrees Celsius, and a nearly month-long production cycle. In short, it's not just complex, it's almost alchemical. And yet, China pulled it off, which means, like it or not, the balance of power in space is shifting. As Beijing inches closer to fielding space-disabling laser systems, Washington must decide whether to answer with diplomacy or firepower. What happens next? That's anyone's guess. But one thing is clear, the most dangerous battlefield might no longer be land or sea, but the quiet void of space, where one flash of light could mean total communications blackout. Stay tuned. This is far from over. And if you think this is just a futuristic threat still years away from materialization, think again. With the BGSe crystal now entering a stage where large-scale applications seem within reach, we're looking at a paradigm shift, not just in military strategy, but in the very philosophy of deterrence. Traditional warfare, that's yesterday's game. The next front line is invisible, silent, and orbital. But here's the part you might have missed. The United States is already playing catch-up. Western researchers have long struggled with the complex conditions required to grow BGSe crystals. The process demands absolute vacuum, an exact temperature of 1020 degrees Celsius, and a month-long uninterrupted growth cycle. Any deviation? The crystal fails. This isn't just manufacturing, it's material alchemy. And yet, somehow, China pulled it off. That success is ringing alarm bells in Washington. For years, US defense experts dismissed China's innovations as derivative, imitative. But not anymore. This crystal represents something terrifyingly new, a real and unique Chinese breakthrough, one the West can't yet replicate. And Donald Trump, never one to stay silent, is furious. Sources say he's pressuring defense contractors and Pentagon officials to respond immediately. According to insiders, he's treating the breakthrough not just as a security threat, but as a national embarrassment. "We should have had this tech first," he reportedly told his advisors. Behind closed doors, a secretive counter-initiative, known only as Skyfire, is rumored to be gathering momentum under the US Space Force. And let's be clear, this is not science fiction anymore. Laser systems powered by BGSe could target and disable low-orbit satellites. The very infrastructure that underpins global communications, navigation, banking systems, and missile detection networks. Disabling even a handful of satellites could blind a military in the middle of a conflict. No rockets, no explosions, just light. Silent. Devastating. It gets worse. Public imagination hasn't yet caught up to how real and how close this technology is. While mainstream discourse still imagines space conflict as something abstract or decades away, Beijing is quietly building the tools to dominate that domain. And if you control orbit, you control the world below. Of course, China continues to emphasize BGSe's peaceful potential in medical diagnostics, environmental monitoring, and infrared detection systems. But even Chinese researchers, in published papers, admit that the recent acceleration of their work is closely tied to military concerns. Specifically, the use of Starlink satellites in the Ukraine war and the growing dominance of US interests in space. This isn't posturing. It's preparation, and history tells us what happens when powerful technology meets geopolitical rivalry. Back in 1997, the US military tested its MIRA-CL laser, a mid-infrared weapon aimed at a satellite. The result? The laser melted parts of itself before it could do real damage. That was the limit of the technology back then. But now, with a material that can withstand 550 megawatts per square centimeter, China may have solved the key problem that held laser weapons back for decades: self-destruction due to heat. That alone could change everything. So what now? The world is standing on the edge of a new kind of arms race, one measured not in missiles, but in crystals and beams. China has made the first move, and the US is scrambling to respond. Trump, known for his aggressive stance on China, is reportedly demanding immediate investment into directed energy countermeasures and new orbital defenses. Behind the scenes, meetings are accelerating, timelines are being slashed, classified projects are being reopened. The game is on. And yet, as both nations sprint toward weaponizing light, the rest of the world remains largely unaware of how fast the balance is shifting above them. While we look down at the battlefield, the real war may be starting over our heads. And while the public sees only headlines about crystal growth and scientific milestones, behind closed doors, military planners are treating this like a Sputnik moment, the kind that rewrites doctrine overnight. American intelligence sources speaking anonymously are reportedly urging the administration to classify BGSe-related developments as a Level 1 strategic threat. Internal memos warn that China's ability to disable key satellite constellations, such as GPS, early warning systems, and encrypted military relays, could provide them with full-spectrum asymmetrical superiority in a crisis. Think about it. A preemptive strike that leaves aircraft blind, missiles uncoordinated, armies unable to communicate, and no one would even see it coming. Just a pulse of invisible light from a mountain in Inner Mongolia, and the battlefield goes dark. What's more, China's crystal isn't just big, it's scalable. Scientists now believe that with enough production cycles, even larger and purer BGSe arrays could be fabricated, capable of powering multi-target laser platforms or space-based laser emitters, expanding Beijing's reach far beyond low Earth orbit. We're talking lunar surveillance, asteroid mining security, orbital denial operations. The long game is already being played, and China seems to be thinking in decades while the West scrambles by the quarter. And here's the part that's sending Pentagon officials into crisis mode. Satellite imagery has revealed increased activity around several Chinese military-industrial campuses. particularly in Anhui and Sichuan provinces. Hangars once used for conventional missile testing are being retrofitted with insulation and high-power cooling systems, consistent with laser research. Something big is happening, and the US knows it's already behind. In response, Washington is not just rebooting its defense projects, it's reviving old ones. Remember the airborne laser program from the early 2000s? Or the cancelled Starfire initiative? According to leaked defense contracts, both have been quietly reactivated under different names. Trump, sources say, wants to make this a campaign issue, framing China's crystal as proof that the current administration has fallen asleep at the switch, while America's enemies advanced. His aides are reportedly pushing for a space shield policy, a sweeping new doctrine that would prioritize orbital laser defense, electronic warfare hardening, and the rapid deployment of space-based countermeasures. Whether Congress backs him or not, Trump is already framing this as the next existential competition. "We dominated the nuclear age," he said behind closed doors. "We won the computer age. We must win the laser age." And the clock is ticking, because while Western democracies debate funding bills and procurement bottlenecks, China is moving, quietly, relentlessly, with purpose. The BGSe crystal isn't the end, it's just the beginning. A material like this doesn't exist in isolation, it exists in a larger framework. Targeted energy, satellite disruption, infrared dominance, orbital control. We are no longer in the era of deterrence through numbers. We're entering an age where one beam, fired from one hidden facility, could shift the balance of power without a single soldier crossing a border. And the world still largely unaware. This story is still unfolding, but one thing is certain: history may look back at this moment, this crystal, this quiet scientific achievement, and mark it as the point where space stopped being neutral ground and became the next battlefield. If you want to stay ahead of the curve with real-time updates, in-depth analysis, and expert insights on global flashpoints like this one, make sure to subscribe. This is just the beginning.